My beloved ones, I see you. I see the heaviness you carry in your hearts. It is not a heaviness that belongs to you. It is not a weight that existence has placed upon your shoulders. The trees are not heavy, the birds are not burdened, the ocean is not tired. Existence is light, it is playful, it is a dance. So why are you so heavy? Why is there a constant cloud of sadness, of anxiety, of feeling less than hovering over your being? The answer is simple, but to understand it, you must be very alert. You must be ready to wake up from a dream that you have been dreaming for a very long time. The poison that is killing your joy, the poison that is suffocating your peace, the poison that is destroying the simple, innocent beauty of just being yourself is comparison. Comparison is the most dangerous disease that humanity suffers from. And yet, look around you. Everyone is drinking this poison. Everyone is addicted to it. From the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep, you are measuring, you are weighing, you are calculating. Am I better than him? Is she happier than me? Do they have more? Am I falling behind? This constant measuring is a violence against your own soul. It splits you. It cuts you off from the source of life. Today, I want to take you on a journey out of this madness. I want to show you why you do not need this poison and how incredibly free, how vast, how luminous you can become the moment you drop it. In this message, we will go very deep. We will not just scratch the surface. I will show you why comparison hurts you, not philosophically, but existentially. I will show you how it makes you forget your own path, your own flavor, your own unique song that the universe has been waiting for eons to hear from you. I will show you how the mind, this cunning mechanism, uses comparison to keep you weak, to keep you divided, to keep you begging for approval. And then, if you stay with me, if you listen not just with your ears but with your heart, I will take you into a deeper truth. I will show you how to see yourself without the dust of others, how to live without needing to match anyone, how to enjoy your being without any measure. When you understand this, really understand this, you will feel light again, you will feel whole again, you will feel free again. I know why you suffer. I look into your eyes and I see the pain. You look at others and you feel small. You compare their faces, their bodies, their success, their happiness, their journey. You think they have more than you. You think they are ahead of you. You think you are missing something essential that they possess. But listen to me, this is a lie. This is the greatest lie ever told. The feeling that you are missing something is not because you are actually missing something. It is because you are not looking at yourself. You are looking at them. No one taught you to look inside. No one taught you that you are not here to be like anyone else. You are here to be yourself, your own shape, your own music, your own color. But society is a factory. It pushes you to compare. From the very beginning, the conditioning starts. School pushes you to compare. Who has the better grades? Who is the golden student? Who is the failure? Friends push you to compare. Who has the better toys? Who runs faster? And slowly, like dust settling on a mirror, you forget that you are a unique flame. You begin to chase other flames. You begin to copy. You begin to compete. You begin to imitate. And in doing so, you lose the sweetness of your own being. You become a carbon copy. And remember, a copy, no matter how good, is never as valuable as the original. You were born an original. Do not die a copy. I am here to help you drop this burden. I am here to take you out of this race that leads nowhere. I am here to bring you back to yourself. Before we go deeper into the roots of this madness, I invite you to make a small gesture of commitment to yourself. If you are tired of this race, if you are ready to drop the burden of comparison, express it now. Like this video, subscribe to our channel. Not for me, I have no need for numbers, but for yourself. Let it be a signal to the universe that you are ready to wake up. Let it be a sign that you are ready to reclaim your own life. And share this message. Share it with those you love, because everyone you know is suffering from this same disease. Be a light for them. Now, let us walk further. First, I will show you how comparison begins, how the mind measures you against others and creates sadness, fear, and doubt. You see, a child is born, he is fresh, he is alive, he is innocent. Look at a child's eyes. There is no judgment there. He does not look at another child and think, he is superior to me. He does not look at a flower and think, this flower is not as good as the other flower. No, the child simply exists in his own joy. He plays, he dances, he laughs without a single thought of who is better or worse. He is complete. His being has no cracks. His heart has no doubt. His eyes do not search for approval. He is enough in his own presence. This is your natural state. This is where you came from. You have lived with comparison for so long that you believe it is part of your nature, a natural movement of the mind, something you were born with. But it is not. Comparison is not your nature. It is something poured into you, something whispered around you, something you absorbed without knowing, like poison gas filling a room. Then, slowly, softly, the world begins its teaching. The parents, the teachers, the priests, they all start the work of destroying your individuality. You heard a voice say, "Look at him. Be like her. Why can't you do what he does? Why aren't you more like them?" These words, repeated again and again, they entered your system like tiny seeds. They fell into the fertile soil of your young, impressionable mind. They took root, and from those roots, the great tree of comparison began to grow. It did not grow overnight. It grew slowly, quietly, as you learned to measure yourself through others' eyes. As you learned that value was not within you, but outside, reflected by the reactions of those around you. You learn that if you imitate the successful one, you get a smile. If you remain yourself, you get a frown. If you compete and win, you are loved. If you are just happy being yourself, you are ignored. So to survive, to be loved, to be accepted, you started to betray yourself. You started to wear masks. You started to look at others to decide who you should be. Look at the garden. Look at the flowers. They grow in all shapes and colors, each rising from the soil with its own fragrance, its own beauty, its own expression. The rose does not compare itself to the lotus. It never occurs to the rose to say, the lotus is sitting in the water looking so spiritual. I am just here in the dirt. I am inferior. No, the rose is a rose and perfectly happy to be a rose. The marigold does not look at the sunflower and feel small because it is not so tall. The jasmine does not wish to be a tulip. Each flower blooms as itself without fear, without shame, without conflict. It never occurs to them to compare because they live by nature and comparison is not natural. Existence loves variety. Existence does not want a garden with only roses. That would be boring. Existence wants millions of expressions. But humans, poor humans, you are taught to compare. And because you learned it so early, you believe it is you. You think, I am a jealous person. No, you are not. You have been taught jealousy. You think, I am an ambitious person. No, you have been taught ambition. Feel this with me, sensitively, gently. You were conditioned to compare because society rewards imitation, not originality. Society is uncomfortable with uniqueness. A unique person is unpredictable. A unique person cannot be controlled. A unique person follows their own inner law, not the laws of the crowd. Society wants you to fit into its mold, to follow its numbers, to match its standards, to walk its approved path. So it teaches you to measure yourself not by your own being, but by the outside world. And once that measurement becomes a habit, the mind continues it automatically. You begin comparing without awareness. It becomes like breathing. You don't notice you are doing it. You walk into a room and instantly, within a split second, the calculation happens. Who is more beautiful? Who is richer? Who is more powerful? Where do I stand in this hierarchy? It becomes a reflex, a loop, a repeated pattern. But the beautiful thing is this. The moment you see that comparison is learned, not natural, the moment you recognize it as something borrowed, something handed down to you rather than arising from within you, a strange freedom appears. Because what is borrowed can be returned, what is learned can be unlearned, what is conditioned can be dissolved. You are not trapped, you are not broken. You are simply carrying something that does not belong to you. It is like you are carrying a heavy suitcase full of stones, thinking it is part of your body. It is not. You can put it down. And now, as we have opened this first doorway together, let us step further in. For once you see comparison is learned, not born, you can begin to understand why the mind clings to it so tightly. Why does the mind love this poison? What does the ego gain from this constant measuring? Here we must be very subtle. We must walk into the inner landscape where comparison takes root. Because once you see that comparison is learned, another layer reveals itself, something more hidden, something that has been moving inside you like a small shadow behind every thought, every emotion, every doubt. This shadow is the ego, and the ego survives only through comparison. Listen to this truth. Without comparison, the ego cannot exist. Without measuring, without judging, without placing you above someone or below someone, the ego has no ground to stand on. It collapses, it dissolves, it disappears like smoke fading into the open air. You must understand this slowly, gently, with the softness of a whisper, because the ego is not your enemy. It is simply afraid. It is fragile. It knows its own illusion. It knows it has no real substance. It is a ghost, and a ghost needs constant validation to feel real. So it clings to comparison the way a small child clings to a toy that gives it a sense of identity. The ego says, I am better than him. Now it feels big. Or it says, I am worse than her. Even this negative comparison gives the ego an identity. I am the victim. I am the sufferer. I am the one who has less. The ego does not care whether you feel good or bad. It only cares that you feel separate. It only cares that you feel defined. It feeds on your sense of division. Imagine a small child standing on a box to look tall. The child knows deep down that the height is not real, that the moment it steps off the box, it will return to its natural size. But while it is standing there, it feels bigger. It feels special. It feels unique. The ego stands on many boxes. Comparison is its tallest one, and every time you compare yourself, you hand the ego another box to stand on. Without these boxes, it cannot pretend, it cannot boast, it cannot act larger than life, And so it clings to comparison like a lifeline. Comparison also helps the ego create identity through contrast. It says, I am this because I am not that. I am kind because she is unkind. I am successful because he is not. I am spiritual because my neighbor is materialist. Do you see the trap? The ego cannot define itself directly. It has no intrinsic reality. It always defines itself through others. It always looks outward first. It feels itself only by pushing against something, by resisting something, by examining the outside world for clues about who it thinks it is. When you compare, you are not seeing others. You are only seeing the ego trying to survive. And here is something subtle, something most people never see. When you compare yourself to someone else, you are not comparing two real lives. You are comparing your inner world filled with doubts, fears, insecurities, the messiness of being human, to their outer world, which is polished, edited, controlled. You are comparing your rawness to their surface. You are comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. You are comparing your depth to their mask. And because the ego loves illusions, it accepts the mask as the truth. It takes the surface as reality. It does not look deeper because depth threatens it. Depth dissolves it. Depth shows the ego it is not needed. This is why social media, this digital world you live in, has become such a factory of suffering. It is a hall of mirrors, but distorted mirrors. One makes you tall, one makes you short, one makes you wide. If you stand in front of these mirrors long enough, you begin to believe the distortions. The ego lives in these mirrors. It uses them to define you. It never lets you see yourself clearly, because clear seeing is death for the ego. Clarity reveals the illusion, but here is the beauty. Once you see how the ego survives, how it creates this endless game of measuring and comparing, something inside you shifts. You begin to watch the ego instead of obeying it. You begin to see its tricks instead of falling for them. And the moment you see the ego's game, the game loses its power. Awareness breaks the illusion. So stay close. We are going deeper still. If this message is touching a chord in your heart, if you feel the truth of these words resonating in your bones, consider supporting this channel. There are many ways to exchange energy. You can click the join button to become a member of this community of seekers. It is a way to say, I value this truth and I want to help it spread. Or you can use super thanks to offer a direct gift of gratitude. These are not obligations. They are invitations to flow, to participate, to be part of the energy that keeps this light burning. And for those who wish to read these words in silence, to contemplate them deeply, our e-books are available. Now let us move into the cost of this poison. Once you understand the ego's mechanics, you can begin to see the enormous cost you pay for comparing. How it steals your joy, divides your mind, and turns your life into a race you were never meant to run. This is not a moral lesson. I am not a moralist. I am not telling you comparison is bad, don't do it because it is a sin. No. I am telling you it is stupid. I am telling you it is self-destruction. This is simply how existence works. When you compare, you step out of your own life. You abandon your own path. You turn your face away from the very source of your joy. And in that turning, in that small movement away from yourself, suffering is born. It is born quietly, gently, almost invisibly at first, like a tiny crack in a glass that seems harmless. But given time, it spreads and spreads until the whole structure shatters. Comparison divides your mind. It splits you in two. One part of you looks outward, judging, measuring, calculating. The other part looks inward, feeling small, feeling unworthy, feeling incomplete. And in this split, in this fracture, you lose the wholeness of your being. You stop feeling the rich warmth of your own presence. You stop hearing the gentle music of your own heart. You stop living in the flow of your own life. Instead, you begin to live through the eyes of others, through their stories, their successes, their images, their movements. You begin to watch their lives instead of living yours. This is the great tragedy of comparison. It makes you a spectator in the stadium of life while your own game is waiting to be played. It steals the beauty of your present moment. You could be walking on your path, tasting your joy, sensing your aliveness. The sun is hitting your face, the wind is in the trees. But instead, your mind jumps to someone else's road and says, "Look how far they have gone, look how bright they seem, look how much more they have." And while you stare at the distance between you and them, you forget the ground beneath your own feet. You stumble, you trip, not because the road is difficult, but because you are not looking where you are walking. Imagine a traveler walking down a quiet, beautiful road. Flowers bloom on both sides. The air is fresh, the sky is open, the journey is his own. But at a bend in the path he sees another road in the distance, wider, smoother, busier, and instead of walking forward, he begins staring at that other road. He imagines it must be better. He imagines those walking, it must be happier, more successful, more fulfilled. He forgets the road he is standing on. He forgets the steps he has taken. He forgets the fragrance of the moment around him. In that forgetting, suffering begins, not because the other road is better, that is just an imagination, but because he left his own. This is what you do when you compare. You abandon yourself. You leave your own life unattended. And in that neglect, in that absence, sadness arises, doubt arises. A quiet ache fills your chest. You say, "I am not enough. I am behind. I am less." But these words come only because you have left your own ground. And listen to this. When you compare, you are not judging the present moment. You are judging your life by someone else's best moment, someone else's peak. You see their celebration, but not their suffering. You see their success, but not their struggle. You see the shine, but not the shadow. Comparison is always based on a half-truth, and a half-truth is more dangerous than a lie, because it feels real while hiding what is essential. Look at your social media again. Look at the endless stream of smiling faces, perfect bodies, perfect homes, perfect achievements. It is a hall of illusions. Each image carefully chosen, each moment polished, edited, filtered. And you compare your raw, unfiltered reality to their curated fantasy. How can you not suffer? You are comparing your whole being to their single moment. You are comparing your storm to their sunshine. It is not fair. It is not real. It is not necessary. When comparing becomes a habit, you stop seeing life as it is. You see life as a competition. You see others as rivals. You see yourself as lacking. And in this lens, nothing is ever enough. Not your body, not your face, not your achievements, not your path. Comparison makes everything small, everything dull, everything insufficient. And so the suffering grows. But listen to me with your heart. Suffering is not the enemy. Suffering is the signal. It is the red light flashing on the dashboard. It is the sign that you have stepped away from yourself. It is the sign that you have wandered into someone else's story. It is the gentle pull of existence saying, "Come back, come home, return to your own being." Do not fight the suffering, understand it. It is telling you that you have moved into lies, and now that you can see how comparison steals your joy, how it divides your mind, how it blinds you to your own path, a new question begins to rise. How do we step out of this illusion? How do we see comparison for what it truly is? Only a thought? Only a habit? Only a cloud passing through the open sky of your awareness? Let us move into that now. Because once you understand that comparison is learned, and once you understand that the ego uses it to survive, and once you feel how it divides your mind and darkens your joy, a new light appears, an understanding that comparison is not reality. It is only a habit of the mind, only a pattern, only a small movement of thought that rises and falls like a wave on the ocean. It has no truth. It has no roots in your being. It is not a reflection of life. It is not a reflection of you. It is simply a repetitive signal, like a bell ringing in an empty house. And when you see this clearly, when you see comparison as only a passing habit, not a fact, a great door opens inside you. Comparison feels real because you never watch it, you merge with it, you believe it, you let it take your hand and pull you into stories that have nothing to do with the present moment. You see someone smiling and the mind whispers, "You are behind." You see someone achieving something and the mind says, "You are less." These whispers come not from truth but from conditioning. They rise like clouds drifting across the sky, and because you think you are the sky, you believe the clouds belong to you. But the sky is always open, always free, always untouched by the shapes passing through it. You are the sky, you are not the clouds. And the moment you realize you are the sky, the clouds lose all power. Awareness is the key. Awareness breaks the automatic cycle. The moment you watch the mind compare, the comparison becomes weak, it becomes transparent, it becomes unreal. You say, here it is again, the mind is comparing. You label it, you acknowledge it, but you do not invite it in for tea. You do not argue with it, you do not fight it, you just watch it. And in that simple recognition, something beautiful happens. You are no longer inside the comparison, you are watching it, you are standing apart from it. A small distance appears, and in that distance, in that tiny space between you and the thought, freedom begins to grow. For the first time, you feel a gap between your being and the movement of the mind. And in that gap, a silence appears, a clarity, a sense of openness. Most people have never experienced this gap. They live fused with their thoughts, glued to every movement of the mind, convinced that every thought is important, meaningful, real. But thoughts are not real. Thoughts are bubbles. Thoughts are waves. Thoughts are flashes of energy passing across the field of awareness. When you stop believing every thought, when you stop letting every comparison drag you into its story, you discover a peace beneath the surface, a stillness that has always been there. You discover that reality is not inside the thought. It is inside the silence that follows. Imagine sitting by a wide, calm river. The water flows gently, carrying leaves, twigs, petals, reflections. You watch them pass. You don't jump in to grab them. You don't chase them. You don't cry when a leaf drifts away or when a twig floats by. You simply watch. And in this watching, you feel peaceful. You feel spacious. You feel connected to something vast. This is how you must watch comparison, like a leaf floating down the river of the mind. It comes, it goes, it is not you. When you see this, comparison loses its tension, it loses its bite, it loses its power to hurt you. You begin to see how absurd it is, how unnecessary, how childish. You laugh softly, the way you laugh at a dream when you wake up and realize it was only a dream. This laughter is healing. This smile is liberation. You realize that comparison is not a real voice. It is an echo. It is a leftover habit of the conditioned mind. And in this seeing, a strange freedom appears. A freedom that does not come from effort. A freedom that does not come from discipline. A freedom that does not come from fixing yourself. It comes simply from watching, from awareness, from a soft, gentle, effortless seeing. And as you watch, the habit weakens, the old pattern begins to dissolve, the mind becomes lighter, quieter, softer. You stop being pulled by others' lives. You stop losing yourself in someone else's story. You begin to return to your own center. And now that this understanding has opened inside you, we can cross into the next great territory of this journey, how comparison steals your presence, your depth, your life moment by moment. But before we take that step, pause, breathe, feel the weight lifting slightly. This is just the beginning, my friends. We are peeling the onion layer by layer. And now, as the illusion of comparison begins to lose its grip on your heart, as you start to see that it is only a habit of the mind and not a truth of your being, we can enter a deeper understanding, one that reveals the real cost you pay every time the mind begins to measure you against another. Because comparison does not only hurt your feelings, it does not only create doubt, it does not only disturb your peace, it steals something far more precious, something far more essential, something that cannot be replaced once it is lost. Comparison steals your presence. It pulls you away from the only place where life is actually happening. It takes you out of the richness of this moment and drops you into the dust of imagination, into a world that is not real, into a world of shadows, of fantasies, of judgments. When you compare, you stop being here. You stop living your own life. You stop tasting its fullness, its beauty, its immediacy. Instead, you begin watching another's life, staring at a path that does not belong to you. You start living through someone else's story. You begin weighing your steps against theirs, your breath against theirs, your journey against theirs. In that moment, without even knowing it, you abandon your own center. Your attention leaves your body, your breath, your heart, and it floats toward the image of another person like a bird wandering away from its nest. Presence is your home. Presence is your anchor. Presence is the space where you are most alive. But comparison weakens this presence. It distracts you. It scatters your mind. It makes you restless. It takes you away from the simplicity of being. And when presence weakens, your whole life begins to feel thin, unstable, disconnected. You feel like you are drifting, unsure, ungrounded. Not because something is fundamentally wrong with you, you are perfect as you are, but because you have left the place where your strength arises, the present moment. It is like trying to taste your food while staring at someone else's plate. The moment your eyes leave your own meal, your taste disappears. The moment you look at what someone else is eating, you lose the flavor, the texture, the warmth of your own food. Your food may be a king's feast, but if you are looking at a beggar's bowl or another king's plate, you miss your own nourishment. This is what comparison does. It takes you away from the sweetness of your own life and makes you hungry for someone else's life, someone else's moment, someone else's experience. And the hunger never ends because you cannot taste life while looking elsewhere. And the mind, once distracted, becomes restless. It begins to jump from one image to another, from one thought to another, from one comparison to another. It becomes unfocused, scattered. You cannot feel your breath. You cannot hear your heartbeat. You cannot sense the ground beneath your feet. You lose the subtle contact with existence that brings peace. When presence weakens, anxiety appears, not because the world is dangerous, but because you are not here to experience it directly. Anxiety grows in the space where presence is missing. It is the ghost that haunts the empty house. And when presence disappears, real experiences lose their flavor. You might be sitting with someone you love, holding their hand, but your mind is comparing. Is this relationship as good as my friends? Is this passion enough? You might be eating something delicious, but your mind is elsewhere. You might be walking in a beautiful place, a paradise, but your eyes are looking at what someone else is doing, achieving, becoming on your phone screen. The moment slips away, the beauty fades, the richness of life becomes diluted. This is the great tragedy. Life is lost not because it is small, but because you are not present enough to receive it. Existence is pouring its gifts onto you every second, but your cup is upside down because you are looking at someone else's cup. Feel this deeply with me. Presence is not effort. Presence is not concentration. Presence is not forcing your attention into the moment. Presence is simply being here, relaxed, open, available. Comparison takes this away. It pulls your awareness outward. It stretches it thin. It scatters it across illusions. And the more you compare, the more you lose yourself. The more you compare, the more fragile you feel. The more you compare, the more disconnected you become from the living pulse of your own being. But see this clearly. Comparison does not steal your presence because it is powerful. It steals your presence because you follow it unconsciously. The moment you watch the movement of comparison, the moment you catch it rising, you can return to yourself. You can come back to your breath. You can come back to your body. You can come back to the living moment that is always waiting for you. And in returning, in simply coming back, your presence grows again like a flame rising from stillness. If you are finding yourself returning to the moment through these words, if you feel a settling in your heart, I invite you to join us. By clicking the join button, you help sustain this space of silence and truth. It is a gesture of saying yes to your own awakening. Or perhaps if you feel a sudden gratitude for this reminder to come home to yourself, you can express it through super thanks. These are ways to keep the energy flowing, to keep the circle complete. But the greatest gift you can give is your own presence. And now, as we stand in this understanding, as presence begins to reground itself in your awareness, let us step further into the next truth. How comparison destroys something even more delicate than presence, the trust you have in your own life, your own intelligence, your own path. Now that you have begun to feel how comparison weakens your presence, how it pulls you away from the living moment and scatters your attention into 1,000 directions, we can walk into an even deeper wound that comparison creates. A wound so subtle, so quiet, so woven into your daily life that most people never notice it at all. Yet it shapes every decision you make, every step you take, every emotion you feel. This wound is the slow, steady destruction of your self-trust. Because the moment you compare yourself, you stop listening to your own intelligence. You stop hearing your own inner voice. You stop trusting the path that is unfolding within you. And without trust, You cannot move with confidence. You cannot relax into your being. You cannot live with ease. You become divided, unsure, full of doubt. Comparison whispers something poisonous inside you. Others know better. Others are ahead. Others have more clarity, more beauty, more purpose, more value. And once this whisper enters, it begins to grow roots. You start to believe that your life is somehow less than others. You begin to mistrust your own choices. You question your direction. You doubt your timing. You hesitate when life calls you. You second guess even the smallest moments of your heart. And in this doubt, in this hesitation, you lose your natural flow. You must understand this with the gentleness of a soft breath. Your being already knows the path. It does not need comparison. It does not need validation. It does not need someone else's approval. Your being is not confused. The seed knows how to become a tree. The river knows how to reach the ocean. It is your mind that becomes confused when it looks outward too much. When you compare, you leave the inner compass that has always guided you, and you begin following maps drawn by other hands, maps that were never meant for your journey. No wonder you feel lost. No wonder you feel uncertain. You are trying to walk a path that does not belong to your feet. Imagine a bird looking at a fish and saying, "Perhaps I should swim. Look how gracefully the fish moves in the water. Look how shiny its scales are. I am just here in the air with these feathers. I must be doing something wrong." Or a fish looking at a bird and saying, "Perhaps I should fly. The bird sees so much. The bird is so high. I am stuck down here in the dark water. I am a failure." The moment a bird doubts its wings, the moment a fish doubts the water, suffering begins. The bird was born to fly. The fish was born to swim. Each carries its own intelligence, its own design, its own nature. And you too have a nature, you have a way of being that is uniquely yours. You have a rhythm that is not meant to match anyone else's rhythm. The moment you compare, you abandon this natural movement. You try to fly like someone else or swim like someone else, and in doing so, you betray your essence. You betray the gift existence has given you. Comparison makes you forget the simple truth. No one can walk your path. No one can breathe with your lungs. No one can live your life. Others may inspire you, yes. Others may reflect possibilities, yes. But they cannot replace your inner knowing. And when you forget this, when you place others above the intelligence of your own being, your self-trust crumbles like dry sand between your fingers. Self-doubt then becomes a habit, a constant companion, a quiet fog that covers your inner landscape. Even when you do something well, you doubt it. Even when your heart speaks clearly, you hesitate. Even when life opens a door for you, you stand at the threshold, unsure whether you deserve to enter. This is the price of comparison. It removes the foundation beneath your feet. It turns the solid ground of your own being into shifting sand. And yet, the moment you see this mechanism, the moment you realize that every doubt, every hesitation, every moment of insecurity began with a simple comparison, something inside you relaxes. You begin to understand that your doubt is not a sign of weakness. It is not a flaw. It is not something wrong with you. It is simply the echo of comparison. And an echo cannot harm you once you know where it comes from. So let this awareness deepen. Feel it spreading inside you like warm light. Every time you compare, you hand your power to someone else. Every time you compare, you say, "They know more about my life than I do." And every time you compare, you silence your own inner voice. But the moment you stop comparing, even for a breath, your inner voice returns. Your self-trust begins to rise again, like a sun slowly emerging from behind the clouds. And now that we have touched this wound of trust, now that we have begun to understand how comparison weakens the foundation of your being, let us go even further into the next layer. The illusion that comparison creates when it paints others not as they are, but as masks, images, surfaces that you mistake for truth. This may be the most delicate truth of all, because you have lived your entire life believing that you see people clearly, that you understand their happiness, their confidence, their success. But listen to me with your whole heart. You do not compare yourself to real people. You compare yourself to images, to masks, to fragments of lives that have been polished, edited, softened, strengthened, manipulated by the mind, by society, by culture. Comparison is never with reality. Comparison is always with illusion. When you compare yourself to someone, you are not seeing the whole human being. You are seeing only the surface, the part they allow you to see, the part they show to the world, the part they protect with their own fears. You see the smile, but not the loneliness behind it. You see the achievement, but not the nights of doubt. You see the beauty in their eyes, but not the tears they hide. You see their confidence, but not the quiet tremble in their heart. No human being is a simple story. Everyone carries joy and sorrow, strength and fragility, clarity and confusion. But comparison blinds you to this richness. It makes you believe others live clean, bright, perfect lives while you alone suffer. This is the lie that comparison tells. Imagine you are sitting in a dark room watching a movie projected onto a screen. The characters look real. Their emotions seem real. Their world appears deep and wide. But you know somewhere inside that it is only light and shadow, only sound and image, only a projection. Yet in the moment you feel it as truth. You believe it. Your heart reacts. You cry. You laugh. You feel fear, you feel excitement. Comparison works exactly like this. You see a projection, a surface, a moving image of someone's life, and your mind responds as though it is the whole truth. But behind every image, behind every projection, behind every display, there is a story you cannot see. And when you compare your entire inner world, your fears, your doubts, your pain, to someone's outer world. How can this ever lead to anything but suffering? Think of the many times you have looked at someone walking with confidence and thought, they must have everything figured out. Yet if you were to enter their mind for just a moment, you would find worries, insecurities, dreams unfulfilled, questions without answers. Think of the times you have seen someone smile and believed they live a life without sadness. But if you entered their heart for a breath, you would feel the same weight, the same longing, the same confusion that you carry. The world is full of people pretending to be whole because everyone else is pretending to be whole. And comparison keeps this illusion alive. Comparison creates a false image in your mind. An idealized version of another person shaped not by truth but by your insecurities. When you feel weak, you imagine others as strong. When you feel unclear, you imagine others as certain. When you feel stuck, you imagine others as flowing effortlessly. It is not that they are truly these things, it is that your mind inflates their qualities to highlight what you believe you lack. Comparison magnifies others while shrinking you. It turns them into giants and you into a shadow. But these giants are not real. They exist only in your imagination, and this illusion becomes a trap. You chase these images. You try to catch up to these masks. You try to match the fantasy you created in your own mind, and in chasing illusions you lose touch with reality. You forget your own depth, your own strengths, your own beauty. You forget that your inner world is as rich and mysterious as anyone else's. You forget that everyone you admire, everyone you envy, everyone you fear, each one is carrying their own invisible struggles, their own unspoken wounds, their own quiet moments of doubt. Comparison hides this truth from you. It blinds you. It creates distance between you and others, when in reality you are far more alike than you imagine. Feel this deeply. Let it sink into your heart. You are comparing yourself to dreams, to fantasies, to surfaces lit by the fragile light of perception. You have never seen the full truth of another's life. You have only seen pieces. And comparison makes those pieces look larger, brighter, more perfect than they are. And once you see through this illusion, once you see comparison clearly, a peaceful understanding arises. You begin to say, I do not know their whole story. I do not know their pain. I do not know their journey. And in that humility and that truthfulness, comparison begins to crumble. You stop measuring yourself against shadows. You stop believing the projections of the mind. You begin to see others as fellow travelers, each walking their own hidden path, each carrying their own invisible burdens, each shaped by mysteries you cannot see. And as this truth opens in you, another understanding begins to rise. Comparison does not only distort others, it makes you forget who you are. Let us move into that now. And now, as the illusion of others begins to fall away, as you start to see that the images you compare yourself to are only fragments, only masks, only passing reflections on the surface of a much deeper ocean, we can step into an even more intimate truth, perhaps the most painful truth of all. Comparison does not just distort your vision of others, it makes you forget yourself. It disconnects you from the soft, quiet flame at the center of your being. It takes you away from your own fragrance, your own rhythm, your own unique way of moving in this vast and mysterious existence. Comparison does not only hurt because it exalts others, it hurts because it erases you. When you compare, you stop feeling your own essence. You stop sensing the living pulse inside you that has been guiding you since the day you were born. You were not meant to walk behind anyone. You were not meant to walk in anyone's shadow. You were not meant to imitate another's footsteps. You were meant to walk your own path, one that no one else can walk, one that no one else has ever walked, one that no one else will ever walk again. But comparison blinds you to this truth. It pulls your eyes outward. It makes you forget the treasure within you. It makes you believe that your value is determined by how closely you match someone else's pattern. Slowly, you begin to abandon yourself. You begin to shape your life around someone else's dream. You begin to follow a rhythm that does not match your heartbeat. You begin to act, speak, dress, plan, and dream according to standards that were never yours. And in this slow abandonment, something inside you becomes dim. Your natural glow fades. Your inner voice grows weak. You feel as though something essential has been lost, but you cannot name what it is. It is you. You have stepped away from yourself. Imagine a rose trying to become a lotus. The rose looks at the lotus and says, she is taller, she sits in the water, she opens differently, she has her own beauty, maybe I should become like her. And in trying to imitate, the rose loses its own fragrance, its own color, its own grace. It forgets that it was born to be a rose, not a lotus. All its effort goes into becoming something it can never become. And the tragedy is not that it fails. The tragedy is that it forgets its own nature. This is what comparison does. It makes you imitate someone else's flowering and blinds you to the beauty of your own. You may not notice it at first. You may simply feel a quiet dissatisfaction, a subtle sense that you are not enough. You may feel restless, as though something is missing from your life. You may feel as though you are performing rather than living. But beneath all these feelings is one single truth. You are living someone else's script. You are wearing clothes that do not fit your soul. You are walking on a path that does not respond to your feet. And so no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you achieve, no matter how much praise you receive, you will feel disconnected from yourself. Comparison creates a false blueprint for your life. It creates a distant ideal, a picture of who you think you should be. And every day you measure yourself against that picture. Every day you find yourself lacking. Every day you feel the distance between who you are and who you believe you are supposed to be, and slowly this distance becomes your identity. You say, I am not enough, I am behind, I am small. You forget that these words are not yours. These words were created by a mind that has been conditioned, shaped, molded by others. These words are not the truth of your being. They are the echoes of comparison. When you forget who you are, you become a shadow. You move without direction. You speak without authenticity. You act without connection to your heart. You live as a copy, never as an original. But existence did not create you to be a copy. Existence never repeats itself. Not a single leaf in the forest is identical to another. Not a single wave in the ocean is the same as the last. Not a single star in the sky shines with the same angle of light. You too are a unique expression of life, and comparison blinds you to this uniqueness. But here is the beauty. The moment you see that you have forgotten yourself, you begin to return. The moment you see that you have been living from the outside in, something inside you starts to turn around, to turn inward, to turn toward home. You begin to feel a soft whisper inside, come back, come back, come back. And this whisper grows stronger, louder, clearer as your awareness deepens. You begin to sense the faint outline of your true self beneath the layers of comparison. And the more you watch the mind compare, the more you see how unnatural it is for you to measure yourself against others. The more your true nature begins to bloom again, slowly, gently, like a seed, remembering the warmth of the sun. This remembrance is your birthright. It is waiting for you. For those who wish to deepen this remembrance, to water this seed, our channel offers resources that go beyond this video. By exploring our ebooks, you can carry these meditations with you, reading them in your moments of solitude. And if you feel the urge to give back, to help us plant these seeds in the hearts of others, consider using the Super Thanks feature. It is a beautiful way to participate in this garden of consciousness. And now, as this remembrance begins to awaken inside you, we can step into the next movement of this journey. A moment where the need to measure begins to fall away completely, where freedom starts to enter your being, where life stops being a race and becomes a dance once more. We are approaching the point of liberation, the point where the heavy scales of judgment fall from your eyes. Are you ready to drop the measuring tape? Are you ready to see life not as a scorecard, but as a canvas? Then come with me. Let us walk into the light of non-measurement. And now, as you begin to feel the soft ache of having forgotten yourself, as you sense the gentle truth that comparison has taken you away from your own center, we can move into one of the most liberating realizations of your entire life. Something that comes like a quiet sunrise after a long night. Something that doesn't shock you but soothes you. Something that does not command you but invites you. It is this: you do not need to measure your life at all. You do not need to turn every moment into a scorecard. You do not need to weigh your worth on scales created by strangers, by society, by culture, by old fears, by borrowed ideas. Freedom begins the moment you stop measuring. You see, life is not a race. There is no finish line. There is no first place or last place. There is no scoreboard floating above your head. But the mind, trained by years of comparison, behaves as though life is a competition with winners and losers. It acts as though someone is keeping track, as though every breath must be justified by achievement, success, or approval. This belief is not natural to you. It was stitched into your mind over years, sewn into the fabric of your thoughts through repetition, pressure, and imitation. And now, without knowing it, you measure everything: your progress, your beauty, your worth, your happiness, your capacity to love, your place in the world. You measure, measure, measure. And in this endless measuring, you lose the simple joy of being alive. Look at existence. Existence does not compare you. The trees do not compare their height. The birds do not compare their flight. The rivers do not compare their speed. The stars do not compare their brightness. In the whole vast movement of life, only the human mind has learned this strange habit of measuring itself against the illusions it creates. And because existence does not compare you, the moment you drop comparison, you fall into harmony with life again. You return to your natural state. You begin to feel held, supported, nourished. Not because you achieved anything, not because you won anything, but because you stopped fighting yourself. Letting go of measuring does not happen through discipline. It does not happen through force. You cannot command yourself to stop comparing. The mind does not respond to orders. It rebels against orders. If you say, "I must not compare," you have already created a conflict. What you can do, however, is see the futility of measuring, see its emptiness, see its absurdity. The moment you see it clearly, with awareness, with calmness, with honesty, it begins to fall away on its own like old leaves falling from a tree without effort. You realize that every measure creates distance from your authentic self. Every measure makes you feel smaller or larger when your being simply wants to feel whole. Every measure traps you in the mind when your heart longs to be free. Imagine a traveler walking without a map. He does not know how far he has gone. He does not know how far he must go. He does not count his steps. He does not compare his speed. He walks because walking is his joy. Because the earth beneath his feet is soft. Because the air is fresh. Because each step feels like a conversation with existence. He is not lost, he is free. But another traveler, carrying a map with lines and distances and markers, constantly checks how far he should be, how far he has fallen behind, how many steps he must cover to catch up to an imagined destination. He is so focused on reaching somewhere that he misses the beauty of where he is. And in this attempt to measure everything, he loses the very essence of the journey. This is how you live. When you measure your life, with every step your mind asks, "Am I enough yet? Am I ahead or behind? Am I gaining or losing?" But life is not a race. There is no ahead. There is no behind. There is only your path, your breath, your moment, and when you let go of the need to measure, a strange lightness enters you, a softness, a calm. You walk without pressure. You breathe without evaluation. You live without comparing your movement to someone else's. You begin to feel the natural rhythm of your being again. And this rhythm is not rushed. It is not competitive. It is not anxious. It is slow, warm, flowing. When you drop the scale, you drop the tension that has accompanied you for years. You stop holding your breath. You stop tightening your chest. You stop living in anticipation of something better. You become present again. And in this presence, you can finally feel yourself. Not the idea of yourself, not the image of yourself, but your real being. If this lightness is what you seek, if these words are helping you drop the heavy baggage of measurement, I invite you to support the channel. A simple like helps this message reach other travelers who are tired of the race. A comment below sharing "I am not a number" or "I choose my own path" helps solidify this truth in your own mind. And if you wish to go deeper, our join button opens the door to a community dedicated to this very unlearning. And now, as this understanding begins to take root inside you, as you taste the first hints of freedom from the mind's constant measuring, we can move into the next great unfolding. How dropping comparison brings you toward the discovery of your true self, the self that has been waiting beneath all the noise, all the illusions, all the borrowed beliefs. Let us walk into that space together. And now, as the burden of measuring begins to slip from your shoulders, as the tension of becoming slowly dissolves into the quiet air around you, we arrive at a turning point in your inner journey. Up to now, we have been looking at comparison from the outside, seeing how it arises, how it blinds you, how it steals your presence and your trust. But now we step inward, now we come closer to the center. Because once the illusion of comparison begins to fall away, something sacred slowly begins to appear from beneath the layers of noise. It is your own being. It is your own presence. It is the silent core of who you are. And I say to you, when you truly know yourself, when you taste your own depth, comparison becomes impossible. Not because you fight it, not because you discipline your mind, not because you force yourself to stop. It becomes impossible because you no longer need it. Comparison survives only in the absence of self-knowing. It lives in the cracks where you have forgotten your own beauty, your own strength, your own path. It feeds on your uncertainty. It whispers to you only when you are not rooted in yourself. But the moment you turn inward, the moment you begin to feel the living presence inside your chest, the moment you touch even a drop of your own being, everything changes. You stop needing the mirror of others. You stop needing their approval, their reflection, their validation. You begin to feel complete, not as an idea, not as a belief, but as a lived experience. Something warm, something gentle, something simple and undeniable. Knowing yourself is not a complicated thing. It does not require years of analysis or endless self-examination. It is much simpler than that. It is the moment you become still enough to feel the life inside you. The moment you sit quietly without reaching outward, without searching for someone to measure yourself against, without trying to be something or someone. In that stillness, something begins to open. Something begins to breathe. Something begins to glow inside you. You feel a presence that is not thought, not emotion, not memory. It is deeper, it is older, it is your root. When you begin to know yourself in this way, others stop distracting you. Their successes no longer threaten you. Their beauty no longer diminishes you. Their path no longer confuses you. because you realize with a clarity as soft as moonlight that your path is your own. It moves at its own pace, it unfolds in its own rhythm, and your being knows exactly how to walk it step by step without needing to run, without needing to catch up, without needing to anticipate a destination. Imagine a tree standing in a field. It does not compare its height to the trees around it. It does not rush to grow faster. It does not look at the oak or the pine or the willow and say, "Perhaps I should become like them." It grows from its own seed. It grows according to its own nature. The deeper its roots go into the soil, the stronger it becomes. The higher it reaches into the sky, the more it expresses its own essence. The tree is rooted, grounded, certain, not because it thinks about itself, but because it simply is itself. When you know yourself, you become like this tree, rooted in your own being, unconcerned with the shapes and shades of others. And when you are rooted, something else happens. Comparison cannot pull you away. It tries, but your attention no longer follows. Your mind may still produce comparison thoughts from time to time. It is a machine, it has old habits, but you no longer move with them. You watch them rise, you watch them fall, you watch them disappear like ripples on a still pond. They no longer disturb your peace, they no longer define your worth, they no longer dictate your direction. You are anchored in your own depth. In this anchored state, life becomes clearer. You begin to sense what feels right for you. You begin to sense what nourishes you. You begin to sense what aligns with your being. You discover a quiet intelligence inside yourself that has been speaking to you all along. Only you were too busy comparing to hear it. Now, as comparison loses its hold, that inner voice becomes louder, clearer, more trustworthy, and slowly, gently, you begin to follow it. This is the beginning of true freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom to be yourself without hesitation, without doubt, without shrinking in the presence of others. When you know yourself, you no longer seek yourself in the eyes of strangers. You no longer search for your worth in someone else's life. You no longer borrow your identity from the world. You live from within. You act from within. You speak from within. Your life grows from the inside out like a flower blooming from its center. This blooming is what we are here for. It is the purpose of all meditation, all seeking. To help you nurture this bloom, we have gathered these insights into ebooks that you can keep close to your heart. They are guides for the moments when the noise of the world becomes too loud. You can find them in the description below. And for those who feel a deep resonance with this message, who feel that this channel is a sanctuary for their soul, the Super Thanks button is a way to honor that connection. It allows us to continue bringing these waters of wisdom to those who are thirsty. And now that we have stepped into the sacred space of self-knowing, we can go deeper still into the power of awareness, the gentle force that shifts your attention from the outside world to the inner world, breaking the habit of looking outward for yourself. This is the key that unlocks the final door. And now, as you begin to taste the quiet sweetness of knowing yourself, as the fragrance of your own being starts to rise like incense from the stillness within you, we can move into one of the most transformative movements of this entire journey, the awakening of awareness. Because knowing yourself does not happen through effort. It does not happen through thinking. It does not happen through analyzing or struggling or forcing the mind into silence. Knowing yourself blossoms naturally the moment your attention turns inward, the moment you begin to watch, the moment awareness becomes alive in you. Comparison lives only when your gaze is facing outward. It lives only when you are looking to others for clues about who you are, whether you are enough, whether you belong, whether you matter. The mind has been trained for years to look outside itself, to search for meaning in other people's movements, to seek security in other people's opinions. And without awareness, this outward gaze becomes automatic. It becomes a habit, one so subtle, so unconscious that you do not even notice it. You simply wake up in the morning and your mind begins watching the world, measuring yourself against everything it sees. But when awareness awakens, the entire direction of your attention begins to shift. Instead of reaching outward, it begins to soften inward. Instead of being thrown around by every thought, every image, every comparison, you begin to witness these movements from a distance. And this witnessing changes everything, because the moment you watch your thoughts, you are no longer trapped inside them. The moment you observe your mind comparing, you are no longer the one who is comparing. A new space appears within you, a quiet space, a spacious space, a space untouched by the noise of thought. Awareness is like turning a light on in a dark room. Before the light, you stumble. You reach for things you cannot see. You become frightened by shadows. You feel unsure, unsafe, confused. But the moment the light is switched on, the confusion disappears. Not because the shadows left. Shadows are just absence of light, but because you can now see them clearly. Awareness is that light. When awareness is present, comparison cannot hide. It cannot pretend to be the truth. It cannot fool you into believing its stories. You see it as a thought, you see it as a pattern, you see it as a piece of conditioning rising and falling on its own. Imagine that you are sitting in a quiet room and there is a single candle burning in front of you. The flame flickers gently. If you look only at the movement of the flame, your eyes become restless. But if you look at the flame with awareness, if you observe its flickering without getting lost in the movement, the restlessness disappears. A calm arises, a centeredness, a sense of clarity. This is what happens when you observe your inner world with awareness. The movements of the mind continue, the thoughts of she is better, he is more successful, but they no longer disturb you. You become rooted in the one who is watching. Awareness is not concentration. Do not make that mistake. Concentration is effort. Concentration is tension. Concentration tries to push everything else away. Awareness includes everything. Awareness is soft, relaxed, open. You simply sit inside yourself and watch the movements of your mind the way you would watch the clouds drifting across the sky. You do not chase them. You do not cling to them. You do not try to change their shape. You simply watch. And in that watching, something miraculous begins to happen. Your mind slows down on its own. Your thoughts lose their grip. Your comparisons become lighter, less convincing, more transparent. And as awareness grows, another beautiful thing begins to happen. Judgment softens. When you are not lost in your thoughts, when you are watching them from a quiet distance, the harshness fades, the criticism dissolves, the inner tension loosens. You begin to feel compassion for yourself. You begin to see the inner sense behind your patterns. You begin to understand how long you have been looking outward for answers that were always waiting within you. Awareness brings a warm light to the parts of yourself that have been hidden for years. And in this light, healing begins. And the more you watch, the more your inner space expands. It is like a room with walls that begin to stretch, widen, open. Suddenly there is more room to breathe, more room to feel, more room to exist without pressure. You begin to sense your own presence, not as an idea, not as an identity, but as something alive, something luminous, something spacious. This inner space is your freedom. In this space, comparison cannot survive. It becomes too small, too thin, too shallow to touch you. And now, as awareness gently turns your attention inward, as your vision shifts from the world to the source of your being, we can step into an even deeper truth, the power of silence. Because awareness opens the door, but silence invites you inside. Are you ready to enter the temple of your own being? Are you ready to hear the music that plays only when the mind stops measuring? Then let us cross the threshold together. And now, as awareness begins to flower inside you like a quiet dawn spreading across the sky, as your gaze turns inward and your being starts to breathe in its own rhythm again, we arrive at a place even deeper, even more intimate, even more sacred than awareness itself. Awareness opens the door, yes, but what lies beyond that door is silence. And silence, my beloved, is the space where you finally meet yourself. Not the self created by society, not the self shaped by comparison, not the self wounded by judgment or inflated by praise. No, silence reveals the self that was there before any of those layers began to form. Silence shows you your original face. When you sit in silence, not the silence of no sound, but the silence of no noise in the mind, something extraordinary begins to happen. All the chatter that once filled your head, the voices of comparison, the whispering doubts, the heavy judgments, the constant measuring, slowly, gently, they fade. They lose their urgency, they lose their authority, they lose their weight. And in that soft fading, a new kind of listening opens inside you, a listening to your own nature, a listening to the subtle music of your existence, a listening to the part of you that has never been touched by fear or shaped by others' opinions. Silence is not empty. Do not misunderstand it. The mind thinks silence is emptiness, a void, a nothingness. That is why the mind fears it. But silence is full. It is full of truth, full of clarity, full of presence. When you rest in silence, you become aware of something deeper than thought. You begin to sense the quiet pulse of your own being, a pulse that is not trying to imitate anyone else, not trying to prove anything, not trying to become anything. In silence, there is no comparison because silence has no other. There is only you, only your essence, only your own fragrance. Imagine a snowflake falling from the sky. No two snowflakes in the whole history of existence have ever been identical. Scientists have looked, they have searched, but existence does not repeat itself. Each snowflake carries its own pattern, its own geometry, its own delicate design, formed in ways no human eye can fully understand. Your being is like that. There is no one in existence like you. There has never been anyone like you. There will never be anyone like you. You are a unique event in the cosmos, but you cannot see this uniqueness while standing in the noise of the mind. Noise makes everything blurry, everything fragmented, everything hurried. Silence brings you home. Silence lets you see. In silence, you feel your individuality not as something to defend, not as a barrier between you and others, but as a natural expression of life. Just as each star shines with its own light, each flower blooms with its own color, each tree stands with its own shape, You too are meant to shine, to bloom, to stand in the ease of your own being. And silence shows you this directly, not as a concept, concepts are cheap, not as an idea, ideas can be debated, but as a felt reality. You feel it in your breath, you feel it in your chest, you feel it in the stillness spreading through your body, you feel it like a soft truth settling into your bones. And it is in this silence that comparison finally dissolves, not because you push it away, but because you no longer need it. When you sense your own depth, your own truth, your own presence, you stop looking outward for confirmation. You stop searching for your reflection in the eyes of others. You are enough in your own experience. You are enough in your own being. You begin to enjoy yourself the way existence enjoys you, without judgment, without measurement, without conditions. And something else happens in silence. You begin to see others more clearly too. Without the filter of comparison, without the noise of judgment, you see their uniqueness as well. You see their essence. You see their beauty without feeling less. You see their light without dimming your own. Silence allows you to celebrate others without losing yourself, to admire without feeling small, to love without fear. This is the miracle of silence. It reveals your individuality, but it also reveals your unity with all of existence. In silence, you feel yourself as a unique expression of life, and at the same time, you feel yourself as part of the great ocean of being. You are the wave and the water. You are the dancer and the dance. You are yourself and yet connected to all. If this silence calls to you, if you feel the thirst for this deep inner water, you can support our work by joining the channel. The join button is an invitation to be part of a circle that values silence over noise, being over becoming. And for those who have felt a shift, a lifting of the burden through these words, super thanks is a way to pour that gratitude back into the stream, ensuring this message continues to flow to others. And now, from this deep stillness, from this quiet recognition of your own uniqueness, we can move into the next awakening. Learning to live as yourself without apology, without shrinking, without hiding, without pretending. Let us step into that together now. And now, as silence begins to cradle you from within, as the noise of comparison fades into a distant echo, as your own uniqueness starts to shine like a soft lantern in the dark, we can move into one of the most beautiful, most liberating steps on this path. Learning to be yourself without apology. Not a version of yourself shaped by others. Not a shadow of someone else's expectations. Not a carefully edited performance designed to be accepted. But the real you, the natural you, the you that breathes without fear, walks without hesitation, speaks without rehearsing, lives without pretending. To be yourself without apology is to return fully to existence, because existence has never once asked you to be anything else. You see, the whole world has been telling you, directly and indirectly, to shrink, to fit in, to follow the pattern, to soften your edges, to hide your strangeness, to behave in a way that makes others comfortable. And over time, without even realizing it, you began to fold yourself into shapes that were not your own. You became an origami figure folded by the hands of fear. You apologized for your emotions. You apologized for your dreams. You apologized for your fears, your desires, your failures, your brilliance. You apologized simply for being different, simply for being yourself. And each apology took you one step further away from your true center. Each apology was a small betrayal, but in silence, in awareness, in the gentle reclaiming of your own being, you begin to see that your uniqueness is not a flaw, it is your gift. It is the way existence chose to express itself through you. No one else carries your exact combination of qualities, wounds, strengths, sensitivities, intuition, humor, insight, creativity. No one else carries your signature in the universe. And when you hide yourself, when you pretend, when you shrink, you deprive existence of something precious. You deprive yourself of the fullness of life. Being yourself without apology does not mean becoming loud or aggressive or rebellious. It has nothing to do with forcing your personality onto the world. That is just the ego making noise. It is much simpler, much gentler. It means living in alignment with your own nature. It means moving the way your being naturally moves. It means expressing what is true for you without fear of judgment. It means letting your inner rhythm guide your steps instead of following the rhythm of others. Imagine a river flowing through the mountains. It does not apologize for its twists or curves. It does not apologize for its speed or stillness. It does not look at the other rivers and say, "Perhaps I should change my path. That river over there is going straight. Why am I turning?" It flows because flowing is its nature. It curves where the earth dips. It widens where the land opens. It rests in pools of quiet water when it needs to rest. It roars over waterfalls when gravity pulls it. It does not force itself to be anything else. And in this effortless flowing, it becomes beautiful without trying. When you are yourself, truly yourself, you move through life like this river. You flow with ease. You stop worrying about how you appear. You stop seeking permission. You stop acting for approval. Your actions come from the heart. Your words come from sincerity. Your presence becomes simple, natural, peaceful. There is no tension in being yourself. The tension came from pretending. The fatigue came from wearing the mask. And as you live this way, something miraculous begins to happen. The people who resonate with your true self begin to find you. The relationships that grow from authenticity become deep, nourishing, alive. You stop attracting people who only know the mask because you are no longer wearing it. You begin to live in harmony with yourself. And because of that harmony, your entire life begins to shift. Choices become clearer. Movement becomes lighter. Joy begins to spread through the simplest moments. And this truth carries you into a great realization. Comparison dies when authenticity is born. When you are living as yourself, when you feel the warmth of your own being, comparison cannot survive. There is no one left to compare to. You are walking your own path. You are listening to your own rhythm. You are expressing your own nature. You are no longer in the race at all. You have stepped out, not in defeat, but in freedom. And now, as your authenticity begins to root itself deeper into your being, as you start to taste the joy of being unmasked, unmeasured, unapologetic, we can move into the next great flowering, living without comparison altogether, letting your life be guided from the center instead of from the outside. Let us walk there together. And now, as the fragrance of your own being begins to fill your inner space, as authenticity becomes less of a distant idea and more of a living presence in your breath, we can step into the real transformation. What it means to live without comparison, not as a concept, not as a practice, but as a natural movement of life itself. Because once you begin to know yourself, once silence has shown you your uniqueness, once you no longer apologize for your existence, A new way of acting begins to unfold inside you. You start to live from your center. You act from the stillness within you, not from the noise around you. And this, my beloved, is the birth of true freedom. Acting from your center means that your actions rise from presence, not from pressure. They rise from clarity, not from confusion. They rise from the truth of your being, not from the expectations of others. It is a way of moving through the world where you are not pulled left and right by the winds of comparison, where you are not shaken by the opinions of strangers, where you are not trying to match someone else's rhythm, speed, or direction. Instead, you move with the simplicity of a tree swaying in the breeze. You act because action ripples naturally from your being. The more you live from your center, the less others matter, not in a cold way, not in a detached way, but in a liberating way. Their praise does not inflate you. Their criticism does not wound you. Their success does not diminish you. Their path does not distract you. You remain rooted in yourself. You remain grounded in your own presence. You remain steady like a flame that does not flicker even when the wind moves around it. And when you act from this inner steadiness, insecurity begins to dissolve. Insecurity is born only when you act from the periphery, when you act to impress, to please, to compete, to keep up, to be accepted. When you live from the surface, everything feels uncertain because the surface is always shifting with the moods and movements of the world. But your center never moves. It is your anchor. It is your home. It is the still point in the middle of the turning wheel. When you act from there, insecurity loses its meaning. Imagine a dancer so deeply lost in the rhythm of the music that she forgets the audience entirely. She is not thinking about how she looks. She's not thinking about whether anyone approves. She is not comparing herself to other dancers. She is not trying to perform. She has disappeared into the dance. The movement is flowing through her. The rhythm is living inside her muscles. Her expression is pure, effortless, alive. This is what it means to act from your center. You are not performing your life. You are living it. When you act from your center, your life becomes simple. Not simple in the sense of small or limited, but simple in the sense of unburdened. There is no division inside you. There is no inner conflict pulling you in opposite directions. You are not doing one thing while thinking another. You are not trying to be in two places at once. You are not torn between wanting to live your life and wanting to keep up with someone else's. Simplicity enters your actions like a clear stream running through an open valley. There is no resistance, no pretension, no struggle, just a pure, effortless movement. And the beauty of acting from your center is that it brings a new kind of intelligence into your life, a natural intelligence that is not learned, not taught, not borrowed. It is the intelligence of your own being. The same intelligence that makes a flower open at dawn, the same intelligence that makes birds migrate across continents, the same intelligence that makes rivers carve paths through mountains. This intelligence knows when to act, when to wait, when to speak, when to remain silent. It knows when to move forward and when to rest. It is completely aligned with your nature. And when you trust it, your life begins to unfold with a grace you could never create through effort. And so, as you feel this movement inside yourself, as you recognize the power of acting from your center, you will naturally begin to experience something new, something tender, something beautiful, something rare. The ability to admire others without feeling small. To see their beauty without forgetting your own, to celebrate their uniqueness without losing yourself, If this center is where you wish to live, if you are ready to stop performing for the world and start dancing your own dance, let us know. A super thanks is a beautiful gesture of alignment with this truth. It is a way of saying, I claim my center. And for those who want to practice this centering daily, our ebooks provide the methods, the meditations, the reminders to keep you anchored in the storm. Let us move into that final flowering now together. And now, as you begin to act from your center, as your movements rise from a quiet ground within you, rather than from the shifting winds of the world, a new possibility opens, one that may have once felt impossible, one that comparison made difficult, one that insecurity made heavy. It is the possibility of admiring others without shrinking, without doubting yourself, without feeling that their light dims your own. This is one of the most beautiful freedoms a human being can experience. When comparison falls away, admiration becomes pure, it becomes joyful, it becomes a celebration rather than a threat. You see, when the mind is trapped in comparison, admiration becomes confusion. You look at someone's beauty, someone's success, someone's strength, someone's talent, and the mind immediately whispers, why aren't you like that? Why can't you do that? Why don't you shine like that? And in that whisper, admiration turns into jealousy, inspiration turns into insecurity, and appreciation becomes a wound. The moment you compare, you cannot admire authentically. You cannot celebrate another's uniqueness because you feel it as your own lack. But this feeling is not truth. It is only the echo of comparison. When you live from your center, everything changes. You begin to see others not as standards, not as competition, not as threats, but as expressions of existence, each unique, each beautiful, each carrying their own fragrance. Admiration becomes light, it becomes natural, it becomes honest. You see someone's brilliance and your heart opens. You see someone's happiness and you smile. You see someone's courage and you feel uplifted. Their light does not take anything away from you. It only adds more light to the world, and your being is spacious enough to enjoy it. Imagine standing outside on a clear night, looking at the stars scattered across the sky. Some shine brighter, some glow softer, some tremble gently, some sparkle with intensity. Yet you never look at one star and say, this one is too bright and therefore the others are nothing. You never say, this star makes the others worthless. No, each star shines with its own radiance, and together they create the sky's beauty. You do not compare them, you do not rank them, you simply enjoy them. This is how admiration feels when comparison falls away. You see each human being as a star shining in their own way, contributing to the beauty of existence. When admiration is pure, it becomes nourishment. A friend's wisdom becomes an inspiration. A stranger's kindness becomes a reminder of your own capacity to love. Someone else's success becomes a demonstration of possibility, not a reminder of your failures. Someone else's joy becomes a wave that touches your heart, not a knife that pierces your confidence. You begin to learn from others without imitating them. You begin to grow by watching others grow. You begin to feel connected rather than divided. And the miracle is this: when you admire without feeling small, your own qualities begin to blossom. You become more open, more curious, more receptive. You begin to trust your own unfolding because you see that existence expresses itself in countless forms. You realize that there is no one version of life that you must follow. There are millions of unique expressions, each reflecting a different aspect of the same mystery. And this realization frees you from the need to be anyone else. It frees you to be yourself. Admiration without comparison is a sign that your heart has healed, that your being is becoming whole again, that you are no longer living from insecurity but from presence. You begin to feel a soft tenderness toward others, a quiet respect for their journeys, a gentle understanding that they too have their struggles, their doubts, their invisible battles. In this tenderness, jealousy dies. In this compassion, insecurity melts. And as this freedom grows, as admiration becomes a form of love rather than a form of pain, another transformation happens inside you. Your relationships begin to change. The way you see people shifts. The way you connect deepens. The way you love expands. Because when comparison disappears, connection becomes possible. And as this journey through the inner landscapes of comparison, identity, ego, silence, and freedom begins to soften into its natural conclusion, we sit here together in a moment that is not an ending but a deep beginning. You have walked with me through so many layers of mind and illusion, through the old patterns that kept you small and afraid, through the ancient wounds that comparison carved into your heart, through the quiet awakenings that came with each step inward. And now you stand in a new space, a space filled with your own presence, your own uniqueness, your own truth. Take a moment. Feel the breath moving in your chest, slow and warm, like a river returning to its source. Feel the ground beneath you, the ground that has always held you even when you forgot yourself. Feel a sense of spaciousness spreading gently inside you, like sunlight passing through an open window. You have come home. Maybe for the first time in your life, you have come home to yourself. Not the self shaped by the world, not the self sculpted by others' expectations, but the self that has always lived beneath the noise. The soft, radiant self that needs no comparison, no validation, no applause. Today you have seen something essential. You have seen that comparison is only a shadow, a habit of the mind, a learned pattern that never belonged to your being. And you have seen that the more you know yourself, the more you grow in awareness, the more you rest in silence, the more you live from your center, the less space there is for comparison to survive. It simply falls away, like old leaves dropping from a tree in autumn, making room for a new blooming that comes in its season. You have tasted what it means to admire without shrinking, to connect without competing, to love without fear. You have tasted the joy of being undefinable, the peace of being unapologetically yourself, the freedom of acting from your deepest truth. Let this understanding settle in you, not as a thought, not as an idea, but as a lived feeling. Feel the truth of it vibrating through your being. Feel how light you are now, that you are no longer carrying the weight of others' eyes. Feel how vast you are now, that you are no longer trying to fit into a narrow definition. Feel how soft your heart has become now that you are no longer comparing it to another's. This softness is your strength. This lightness is your power. This vastness is your true nature. And now, as we prepare to close this particular communion, I want you to look forward. I want you to see the life that is waiting for you outside of this video. Because the real work, the real play, happens not here, but in your daily existence. Tomorrow, when you wake up, the world may try to pull you back. The old habits may try to whisper to you. You may open your phone and see an image that triggers the old ache of not enough. You may walk into your workplace and feel the subtle pressure of competition. You may meet a friend and feel the familiar sting of jealousy. This is natural. The mind has momentum. Do not be discouraged. Do not think you have failed. In those moments, remember this space. Remember this silence. Remember that you have seen the mechanism. When the comparison arises, simply stop. Take a breath. Look at the thought. Smile at it. Say to it, I see you. You are an old guest, but you no longer live here. And return to your center. Return to your breath. Return to the simple fact of your own existence. You do not need to fight the world. You only need to remain anchored in yourself. And remember, you are not alone in this. There are millions of others waking up just like you. Millions of others realizing that the race is a lie, that the competition is a game, that the only true victory is to be oneself. This channel is a gathering place for such souls. It is a field of energy where we remind each other of who we truly are. If you wish to remain connected to this field, if you wish to keep this fire burning, I invite you to click the join button. By becoming a member, you are not just supporting a channel, you are affirming your commitment to this path. You are saying yes to a life of awareness. And for those who feel a deep gratitude for this lifting of burdens, super thanks is a beautiful way to complete the circle of giving and receiving. It is an energy exchange that keeps the flow of wisdom moving. But above all, carry this truth with you. You are a unique expression of the divine. Existence has taken great care in creating you. It has painted you with its own hands. It has breathed its own breath into you. If existence wanted another Jesus, it would have created another Jesus. If existence wanted another Buddha, it would have created another Buddha. But it created you, it wanted you, it needed you exactly as you are. To compare yourself is to reject existence's gift. To be yourself is the greatest worship. So go now. Go into your life, go into your relationships, go into your work, but go as yourself. Walk with your own walk, speak with your own voice, love with your own heart, shine with your own light. Do not apologize for your light. Do not dim it to make others comfortable. Let it shine. Because when you shine as yourself, you give others permission to do the same. You become a lighthouse. You become a reminder. You become a living proof that freedom is possible. And if you ever feel the fog returning, if you ever feel the weight of the world pressing down on you, come back to these words. Read the ebooks we have prepared for you. They are silent friends you can carry in your pocket. Listen to this message again. The truth is always here. The silence is always waiting. Your center is always holding you. You are free. You have always been free. You just forgot. Now you remember, be a light unto yourself.